I have a guest by the name of Duncan Sinclair. Duncan is a researcher in stress and the relation of stress with dementia. As well as that, Duncan is a university professor at the University of Tasmania. But without further ado, thank you very much for coming onto the show there, Duncan.
My pleasure, Neil. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome, mate. So, Duncan, can you tell me a bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure thing. So I'm a husband and a dad and medical researcher. Like you mentioned, I do research into dementia and stress and trying to get to the bottom of how stress impacts our brains. I live in Hobart, so I'm on the foot of a beautiful mountain called Kununyi. I like mountain biking and running and skiing, and I'm a fan of fan of American football. Actually, I follow the Philadelphia Eagles.
Oh wow! So So basically, apart from dementia, I noticed that you are also a psychiatrist. Is that right?
So I have done a good amount of research in psychiatry in the past. I wouldn't call myself a psychiatrist.
Okay.
My background is in research. So I have a PhD in psychiatry, and I spent a number of years trying to understand how stress influences serious mental illnesses, particularly schizophrenia and bipolar disorder.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So when you studied, it wasn't that you wanted to become a psychiatrist. It was more that you were interested in the research field of it, was it?
Yeah. Yep. That's right.
Okay. So when you did these studies into psychiatry, was there any challenges with it?
Well, yeah. So it's a challenging field, I guess. Yeah. I came into it from a background of some personal experience. So prior to doing research into schizophrenia, I had actually worked in a cleaning business, and our cleaning business employed people with mental illness. And so I worked alongside people with schizophrenia. I knew the real challenges that they face every day in the workforce, living with serious mental illness. So part of my challenge moving into the research area was to come up to speed with some of the clinical aspects, but more so there's been a lot of history and research into psychiatry in the past. So schizophrenia and bipolar disorder were first kind of conceptualized in the modern sense by a German guy, Emil Kraepelin, in 1893. So what's that? 130 years ago.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of very powerful work, and there have been a lot of discoveries made in that time. And mental illness is really complicated. There are many, many factors all weaving in together. So people's genetic makeup, their environmental influences, their life experiences, their physiology, all these kinds of things are combining together to influence people's mental health, yours and mine as well as everybody's. Our mental health all of us, it fluctuates. So trying to figure out how all of these different factors are known to interact in mental illness in what are considered multifactorial diseases. That's also a big challenge.
Okay.
Somebody starting in the field. Yep.
Okay. So it was more along the lines you wanted to understand how the brain works from having these experiences with working with people with schizophrenia and stuff like that, was it?
Yeah. So I'd done a science degree, and I took a break from the science to work in the cleaning business, and then became a research assistant in a schizophrenia lab. And we were doing research on the brain. We often used brains that people living with schizophrenia had donated to research when they passed away.
Okay.
And so, motivation to study the brain, understand the brain, was a strong motivation.
So it's very fulfilling for yourself because you're like sort of giving back to the community by understanding what's going on there, and then being able to, basically present your information forward to help the better good of the universe, yeah?
eyes in the sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand.